Hey everyone, Richard here, and today I'm going to show you a real quick and easy way of knowing whether a company is undervalued or overvalued. And this is important to know, of course, because, well, if you're out here picking individual stocks to invest in, you're going to need a way of knowing whether you're buying at a good price. But actually, even more importantly, what you could expect your annual rate of return on your investment to be when purchasing at a particular price. I have done another video where I talk more in depth about how to calculate the intrinsic value of a stock, which is still an absolute must watch. However, for this video, I wanted to make it much shorter and just give you a real quick and easy way of knowing whether or not a stock is undervalued. First though, please give this video a quick thumbs up. It does really seem to make a difference and help us to grow this channel. And I do really appreciate your support, so please do give this video a thumbs up. Also, by the way, if you're a more seasoned investor watching this, you're still gonna wanna stick with me to the very end. I am gonna start off with beginner level concepts here, but I promise this video is leading somewhere that will be worthwhile for you, regardless of your experience level. Okay, so first, I want to introduce a framework to you, a way of thinking about buying stocks and valuing businesses, which is instead of thinking about it like buying a business, think about it instead like buying a money tree. So let's say you could actually buy a real magical money tree and you could plant it in your backyard and that it would produce for you $100,000 per year in cash every year for 10 years. And then after that, the tree dies and no more cash. How much would a money tree like this be worth? That's the big question. Well, we know that it will provide you $100,000 times 10 years equals $1 million. Okay, but would you pay $1 million for this money tree? Of course not. Why would you pay $1 million for a money tree that would only just simply pay you back your $1 million over a 10-year period? Okay, so how about $1? Would you pay $1 for this magical money tree that'll give you $100,000 per year for 10 years? Of course you would. This would be an incredible investment. Okay, so we are getting somewhere here now. We know that the value of this particular money tree is somewhere between $1 and $1 million. But what price exactly is a good price to pay for this money tree? And by the way, that's really the first concept I want you to take away from this video so far, that the value of an asset is based on how much it can produce for you in the future. Okay, staying with this money tree analogy for just a little bit longer here, let's say that you think about it and you come up with the price of $500,000. You say $500,000 is what you would be willing to pay for this money tree. And well, if we break that down, we're essentially saying that we think this money tree is worth 5 times its annual earnings. Okay, so in other words, a price to earnings ratio of 5. The $500,000 price divided by $100,000 earnings equals 5. And the short form name for this in stocks is the PE ratio. Another way of thinking about this PE ratio of 5 is that this investment would pay for itself after 5 years, and then after the first 5 years, the rest of the earnings would be essentially free money. $100,000 per year for the first 5 years pays you back your $500,000 initial investment, and then each of those $100,000 per year for the next 5 years are just straight for your pocket. Okay, now check this out. If we flip the price to earnings ratio upside down, and instead of calculating the price divided by the earnings to get 5, if we instead calculate the earnings divided by the price, what we're calculating for is called the earnings yield. And in this case, the earnings yield is 20%. 20% would be your annual return on investment, because $100,000 is 20% of $500,000. So by the way, in my personal opinion, this would be a pretty good investment to make. I'd be happy to pay $500,000 for this money tree that would give me $100,000 per year for 10 years. And this is important, this investment would be equally as attractive to me whether I was buying the entire money tree so that I was 100% owner of it, or if I was just buying a percentage of the ownership in this money tree. And by that I mean if I didn't have enough money to buy the entire tree, for example, but I did have enough money to buy even just 1% interest in this money tree's ownership, costing me $5,000, I'd still be equally as attracted to this investment. And this is because my 1% share of the ownership would entitle me to 1% of the earnings, so $1,000. Meaning this investment would have the exact same PE ratio of 5 and it would have the exact same earnings yield of 20%. The investment is equally as attractive. Whether you're buying 100% of the ownership or 1% of the ownership or any amount of ownership in between, the investments are equivalent. And hopefully you've caught on by now that stocks work the exact same way. If buying the entire business at a particular valuation is attractive, then buying a percentage of that business at that valuation is equally as attractive. And this is why Warren Buffett actually encourages people to think in terms of buying the entire business, and if it's an attractive opportunity from that perspective, then you go ahead and buy some shares. Perfect. So let's move on so I can show you how to easily tell if a stock is undervalued now. So we've said now that regardless of how large a percentage of ownership in this money tree that you buy, the $500,000 valuation for this money tree would make it a pretty good investment, at least by my standards. And we've also said that a $1 valuation makes it an incredibly good buy, and that a $1 million valuation would be way too high of a price to pay because the tree itself is only going to return $1 million over a 10-year lifespan anyways. So paying $1 million wouldn't make any sense. So where do we go from here? How do we know at what point the price is fair, when the price is undervalued, and at what point the price becomes overvalued? Alright, so to answer that question, let's just forget about money trees for a second and just talk about investments in general. And the truth is that the price tag at which an investment becomes undervalued or overvalued depends on you. And it depends on what other investment opportunities are available to you. Okay, so let's elaborate on that. What are some examples of alternative investment opportunities available to us? Well, currently a 10-year US Treasury bond will yield you about 1% annually, meaning you could buy a 10-year US Treasury bond, which would essentially mean you're lending money to the government and you'll be guaranteed a 1% annual return on your investment. That's one alternative. And as a side note here, that would be the equivalent to a PE ratio of 100. Then we have simply an S&P 500 index fund, which historically has returned about 10% annually. So these would be two alternatives. And what this means and what I'm getting at here is that for someone using 1% as their benchmark expectation for annual returns, an investment that could earn them 8% would be considered undervalued. But that same 8% yielding investment would be considered overvalued for someone else who is expecting a minimum of a 10% return on their investment as their benchmark. And this is why it doesn't actually make a lot of sense when someone says an investment is undervalued without also saying what rate of return they're expecting. Even if they include how much they think it's undervalued by, it doesn't actually tell us anything if they haven't included their expected rate of return from their investment. So that's the second big takeaway I want you to get from this video, which is that saying an investment is undervalued or overvalued doesn't actually tell you anything without that added context of the rate of return you're expecting to get from the investment. I do dive into this concept even more in this video here. However, for this video here, I did promise you a quick way of telling whether a stock is undervalued, and more importantly, a quick way of telling what annual returns you could expect from an investment. So here it is. We talked about earnings yield a moment ago, which is the reverse of the PE ratio. So earnings yield is earnings divided by price. And quickly, a little cheat sheet here for you. A PE ratio of 5 gives you an earnings yield of 20%. A PE ratio of 10 gives you an earnings yield of 10%. A PE ratio of 15 gives you an earnings yield of 6.6%. A PE ratio of 20 gives you an earnings yield of 5%. A PE ratio of 25 gives you an earnings yield of 4%. And a PE ratio of 30 gives you an earnings yield of 3.3%, and on and on. And you can easily find the inverse of the PE ratio by using this little button on your calculator if you turn your phone sideways. Or if you open the calculator on your computer and you change the view to scientific mode, then you'll be able to see this button as well. Okay, fair enough. That's pretty cool. We can easily calculate the yield like this. But obviously this doesn't help us all that much unless earnings were just staying flat and not growing at all. But as we know, most good companies don't earn the same amount year after year. More realistically, earnings are growing each and every year. So here's what you do to account for that growth and figure out what your annual rate of return will be from an investment considering both yield and future growth. You simply take the earnings yield and you add the future growth rate. So yield plus growth rate gives you your expected annual rate of return on your investment. For example, if your potential investment had a yield of 5% and you expected earnings to grow by 8% per year, then you'd calculate that your expected annual returns will be 5% plus 8% equals 13% annually. Or if your potential investment had a yield of 4% and you expected earnings to grow by 5% per year from this point forward, then you could calculate that your expected annual returns would be 4% plus 5% equals 9% annually. This little quick and easy valuation model comes from something called the Gordon Growth Model. So you can certainly look into that if you'd like, and I'll leave a link in the description below to a little research paper. However, I'd much rather do a discounted cash flows calculation, or DCF calculation for short, which is what I talk about in this other video. I think that every investor learning about valuation needs to learn about the IRR formula, which is in this video. But as far as this quick and easy way is concerned, one of the limitations with it is that it requires you to use a growth rate that is a sustainable rate of growth in perpetuity, meaning a growth rate that will be able to be consistent forever. So if inflation is 2 to 5% annually and the global economy grows by 2 to 4% annually, then you could probably at best use a growth rate between 4 and 9%, since it would be next to impossible for any business to grow at a higher rate than that consistently forever. And I should note that this little quick and easy way is going to work best for companies with stable growth rates. I do actually get a lot of questions about how to value companies with negative earnings or irregular and inconsistent earnings, or companies that don't earn any money at all yet. And the truth is that these companies are definitely a lot more difficult to value. I do have something brewing up for a video about how to value these types of companies that don't earn any money yet, so definitely subscribe if you want to watch that one when it does come out. On that note though, I want to point out to you that Warren Buffett and Charlie Munger, they talk about having 3 piles when they're looking at investment opportunities: the in pile, the out pile, and the too hard pile. And it's okay to use that too hard pile for many of the companies you look at. Okay, so now let's conclude this video by using what you've just learned. So let's use this quick and easy way to calculate what annual returns you could expect if investing in the S&P 500 today. The S&P 500 as a whole has a PE ratio of 37.32 right now, which if we put into the calculator and use this little button here, we calculate that it means the earnings yield is 2.6%. Then let's go ahead and estimate that the earnings of the S&P 500 as a whole moving forward will grow by 5% per year. Between annual inflation and the rate at which the US economy will grow in perpetuity, so forever, I think 5% is fair. This gives us an expected annual rate of return from purchasing the S&P 500 at its current price to be around 7.6%, which is the 2.6% yield plus the 5% growth rate to give us that 7.6%, which is definitely not bad at all, and it definitely beats putting your money into a savings account. And by the way, if we did a discounted cash flows calculation, we'd roughly get to about the same conclusion. If you want a more in-depth lesson on how to calculate a stock's intrinsic value, you're definitely going to want to check out this video next. It is a little bit longer, but you definitely want to watch until the end as well, because I've handpicked and included a couple of Warren Buffett and Charlie Munger clips talking about calculating intrinsic value that you're definitely not going to want to miss. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in this next one.